Let's look at some of the functions that the calculator has that can solve equations for us. So we know how to solve this by hand, doing our proper algebra steps. But if we go to our calculator scratchpad or the calculator documents, we can go to Menu, and then under Algebra there are three functions we're going to look at in this video. The first one is called Numerical Solve. If we click on that, we get this nSolve. And we can type an equation, just like this one, into this parentheses. So we're going to type in 3x minus 4, parentheses, x plus 2, close parentheses, equals 5x plus 2 minus 6x plus 10, 6x. So exactly like we see it on the page, with parentheses and everything, just type exactly what we see. And then if we close the parentheses and hit enter, you're going to get an error. So this is the mistake we most often make with this one, is just hitting enter. The last thing we have to do within that parentheses of the nSolve is put a comma, which is down here at the bottom of the calculator below the pi button, and then the name of the variable that we're solving for. So in this case, we're solving for x. So we're going to put comma x and then press enter, and we get no solution found. So that means that A, no solution, should be our answer for this problem. Whereas if it had a solution, we would find out what the solution is. So let's go ahead and modify this equation a little to find a way for it to have an answer. So if we arrow up and hit enter to bring that whole thing back down to the active line in the calculator, we should be able, if we change the number of x's on one side or the other, to come up with a valid answer, even though it may not be a pretty one. So we're going to change this 6x to a 5x just to see what it would look like if there was an answer. So if we confirm that with the same setup, we find out that to solve this equation, x would be negative 20 in order to make that work. So we can put in any single variable equation with nSolve and end it with comma in the name of our variable and come up with the solution. It'll even tell us if there's no solution or infinite solutions. Let's see what it would look like if we did put in something that gave us infinite solutions. Just to make it simple to come up with a problem here, I'm going to do nSolve, and I'm just going to put x equals x and solve that for x. That means no matter what we put in, it would be true. So if we hit enter, it says 0 is the solution. So maybe this is not the best tool for solving if we have infinite solutions, because it could put, it's only going to give us the first solution that it finds. So maybe be careful with this tool if you are suspecting that you might have infinitely many solutions to your problem. The next thing under this algebra menu is system of linear equations. So I'm going to go to this one, but let's find a different problem from our EOC review. So number 13 said, what is the solution to this system 2x plus y equals 4, 4x minus y equals 8? We could pretty easily solve this on paper by substitution. We wouldn't be able to solve it very easily in the graph because we can only graph functions that are y equals. We can't graph this when the calculators are in test mode. So let's see how the calculator can do that with the algebra functions. So we're going to go to Algebra Solve System. Our number of equations is 2. So we've only solved system of equations that have 2 variables in 2 equations. In Algebra 2, you may do higher number of variables. Our variables are x and y, so I'm going to hit enter. And it's going to give me this setup called linSolve. So linSolve is a system of equations, and I'm going to type in each equation exactly as it is on my problem. So for the first one, we have 2x plus y equals 4. Then I'm going to use the arrow to go down to the second equation. My cursor's here now. I'm going to do 4x minus y equals 8. Now I hit enter. It's already set up to solve for x and y, so we don't have to type the variable like we did up here. We already took care of that in the initial setup at that dialog that popped up. So we hit enter, and it says our solution is x equals 2, y equals 0, and we get C as our answer. So basically free answer just by the calculator solving that system. The next thing, the last thing under algebra, is polynomial tools and find roots of polynomial. So as you might suspect, this is going to give us our zeros or x-intercepts of a polynomial, including a quadratic. So this can actually do a polynomial of any degree, but we're only talking about quadratics, which are degree 2. So with this default, we want real roots, degree of 2. That's exactly what we want, so we'll hit OK. And the format here looks slightly different than ax squared plus bx plus c. They call it a2, a1, and a0, or a0. So we still just match these up. So a2 is our a term, a1 is our b term, and a0 is our c. They just go in order. So let's find a problem in our review packet for that. Okay, so we have this one that was graphed. It says y equals x squared plus x minus 6, and says what are the values of x when x squared plus x minus 6 equals negative 4. So in order to solve this, we're going to need to set it equal to 0 on one side, like it is in the calculator. So we'll add 4 to both sides, and our equation becomes x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. So our a term, or coefficient, is 1, our b coefficient is 1, and our c is negative 2. We hit enter, and it's going to populate that for us, x squared plus x minus 2. And we hit enter to get negative 2 comma 1 as our answer. So G would be the answer to that because that's negative 2 and 1 as the two roots. So these three tools can solve pretty much any equations. There are certainly questions where they won't help you, where it's more conceptual and less about solving for a value. But if you're solving for values and don't remember how to do it on paper, this can be a really powerful way to solve one variable equations, systems of two equations, or quadratics.